That is correct. Spawning here in the top left corner of the map, a hometown favorite, I would say, playing as the red Protoss for the team of Alpha X. Give it up for Zoun.
And popping here at the bottom right, we have our blue Terran player, always rocking that happy star. Get up for Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure. Alright, so we start our first game here on the map of Lightshade, which is one of the, of course, smaller maps. And we see if that does kind of dictate the playstyle or the build orders of these players. I know that, because of the shorter distance, it's probably likely that Zoun is going to open up with an Adept and just kind of shade it across the map and try to harass Cure. And it's going to be up to Cure to kind of place down that bunker a little bit earlier than usual to help defend against that first Adept.
Right, now we also see a little bit of cute probe micro, just making sure that, he can try to delay the command center as much as possible. Now, funnily enough, the moment that the command center did go down, there were only 10 minerals to Cure's name, so not really much of a delay, I would say, but yeah, just, whatever floats your boat. And like you said, the most likely opener is, of course, an Adept, just to sort of tag your opponent, make sure that you can keep an eye on them, and it's really important, as a player to know what your opponent is doing, because you could be the perfect macro player and you could make perfect decisions on your side of the map. But what actually matters is how those decisions impact you with relation to your opponent, right? The most basic example is that you could be macroing and getting some getting a lot of bases up and getting a lot of workers up and running and whatnot and all that and getting fully saturated. But if you're not ready for an attack, then you just sort of lose the game, right? That's the most basic example. And then, of course, at the higher level, you get stuff like what kind of defense do you need to put up? What kind of offense are you looking at? How much can you get away with? That kind of thing. And I find it really interesting to see how different pro players are versus, even like grandmasters or anything of that sort, because there's just such a big fundamental difference, I think, in the way that they play.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. There is a reason why Sero right now is like 44 and 6 on ladder with like 7.3 or 4K MMR. Is because he is relentless on the scouting. He is one of those players that really relies on the scouting. Sometimes it comes back to kind of haunt him because players play mind games on him because of that. But for the most part, I mean, he does kind of really get the nice scouting in and then just responds precisely. I mean, imagine if Cure right now threw down 3 ranks, went for a stim timing, and just went across the map. Zoun will be pretty kind of caught off guard without any of the adept scouting. But it looks like he does, at the very least, knows that there is a reactor on the barracks. And I'll go ahead and it looks like can actually take down the third base, it seems. Do we have a third gateway? Looks like he is going to stick with 2 gateways at the time, for the time being. Actually, yeah, 2 gateways.
Oh, interestingly enough, that probe did come back onto position to put down that third Nexus just as the Widow Mine drop left. So these 2 Widow Mines are not going to get much done. Now, a third Widow Mine is going to be dropped off into the main base of Zoun. Gonna see if... Oh, okay, it looks like probes are pulled in time. 1 will be sacrificed for the greater good. Oh, not even... Wow, what am I seeing? I'm seeing, units out microing themselves. And look at that, the Widowmine micro as well. Blink does go off, but I think that was 1 stalker that did go down. Now, to be fair, this is a lot of lost mining time. Both mineral lines were pulled for a period of time. But yeah, I mean, if you don't lose any probes, there's nothing too much to complain about, really.
Yeah, I mean, he could have probably microed that a little bit better, because losing 2 stalkers, especially since he had Blink, probably not the best trade there, but at the very least, he does, loses minimal amount of probes. And now it's his turn to put on the offense as he heads straight across the map to Kira's base. But look at that, Kira's already set up to defend against this.
That's right. We do see a full bunker on the low ground. I think those are, 4 Marines in there. And then we've also got the siege tank up on the high ground, the Raven backing up that sort of cluster of Marines. So I agree with you. I don't think 5 Stalkers are going to get too much done here. And it does look like we're going to see that traditional charge lot High Templar follow-up after this.
Yep. Looks like he is heading straight into that High Templar. Whether that is for Storm or what is for Archons is yet to be determined or to be seen. But here we go. A little bit of a Stalker poking. We'll pick up a couple of Marines.
Any amount that you can pick off with the Stalkers is so good as a Protoss. Now, a recall is actually forced because there is a little bit of a drop. I do like that sort of cute little bait, but it does not sort of succeed. These Stalkers, oh man, were already in position to deal with that almost full medevac regardless. So pretty cute, but in the end, it did not go in favor too much for our Blue Terran player. Now, as I say that, the Blue Terran, Kir is moving out to the south side of the map. Now, these Stalkers will be sort of almost, they probably will be in position to catch this out a little bit on the map. They are going to blink back, and it will be in time to sort of see what's going on. Charge is just about to finish, but Storm is still a little ways off, and +1 infantry armor is just about to finish, so I'm not too sure about this. The Marines are going to stem right on into the natural base, taking down that Artosis pylon and preventing that High Templar from doing anything. We do see a couple of decent storms going down, but not really dealing too much damage in the sort of grand scheme of things. We do see a lot of Marines shoving forward constantly into the natural. This is looking pretty dicey for Zoun.
Yeah, I think Kier has hit on the nice timing where it was right before Charge and Storm, and looks like this theme is rolling. More blue dots across the minimap, and I think this is it. Zoun, I think, will have to tap out very soon. I mean, even if Zoun does clean this up, I think the damage has been done.
Oh yeah, we see a full mineral line's worth of probes have gone down, and GG is called. Cure takes game number 1.
So, you know why Cure does have that star decal next to his building?
I don't know. I always thought it was just for good luck, but then if that were true, then I feel like every player would have it. I'm not sure. Why is that?
Because he thinks himself as a superstar.
Oh man, Snoopy, I'm gonna say goodnight to you right now, so I will talk to you later. Thank you for letting me co-cast.
All our viewers is like, yeah, I'm headed out. I mean, that pun was just too cringe.
Too much. Yep. No, but definitely, in that last game, I mean, Cure deserved that, right? Like, what a crisp timing. I can't really get over that, because you have to have such good game sense to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to move out right now, and in 20 seconds, my army is going to have +1, and we're going to do this, and that, like, it just sort of felt like Cure's plan was coming together while his opponents was just sort of falling apart.
Yeah, and imagine if Zoun was able to kind of delay that attack, or imagine if Kira attacked a couple of seconds later. I mean, Zoun was going to be able to finish his upgrades, and was going to be able to warp in maybe additional units, and maybe would have been able to defend. But sometimes StarCraft is like that, it really comes down to the tiniest of timings, and if you can hit it, then it usually spells successful or success for the person with that crisp timing attack.
Right. Now, this is interesting. We see a Stargate finishing up for Zoun, and I think this is the first Stargate that you and I have seen all night, actually. So, it'll be interesting to see. Okay, it looks like it's going to be an Oracle first. Would you say that a Phoenix follow-up is likely?
A Phoenix follow-up. I think That's quite possible, actually. I mean, on this map, Phoenixes are pretty useful because there's so many like dead airspace that the drops can come in from. That following up with a Phoenix, I think, yeah, looks like he is gonna go elect for that Phoenix follow up, and it should help deal with some of these Hellions and these Widow Mine drops of some sort. But before then, this Orko is looking to find this Hellion. I think actually. I thought he was going to actually go across the map to attack with these 3 adepts. There's really not a lot here in the natural.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's no barracks in the front. There's only 4 Marines, and I'm pretty sure that, oh, well, we do see Marine reinforcements coming down the ramp. Actually, looks like it's going to be setting up for a pretty decent drop once the... Oh, was there a Widow Mine? I don't believe so. So just going to wait on a few more of those Marines before heading out.
I thought he made a Widow Mine. Where's that Widow Mine?
Yeah, I could have sworn it was producing out of the factory, right?
Oh, okay. One is in the mineral line. Oh, okay. I see it. Okay, so the 2 of them are in the
cute.
Okay, so there's one there, and then there's one here. Okay.
Cheeky. Wow.
That's some really nice
you
hiding
literally
spots.
Can't see them. Yeah, I mean, the only way that you can see them is if you change your angle using the insert and delete keys on a keyboard to sort of turn the camera. But yeah, very cute hiding spots. So it's almost as if Kier can hear us and was like, "Oh, did somebody say Stargate? Looks like I need to put up some defensive Widow Mines."
Alright, so...
I do like this a lot. He's sort of setting himself up for a pretty crisp Marine push with the stim, combat shield, as well as +1 attack. Now,
oh my god, oh my god.
Oh
wow, he just spotted it at the last second.
Jeez. That's pretty crazy. Only 1 Marine getting caught. Now, I feel like... Okay, I think... I don't know for sure, but I feel like this Thermal Lance upgrade is going to finish by the time the Marines are pushing across the map. Oh, I'm not too sure, actually.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you can kind of somewhat delay with these Phoenixes, he can maybe in the nick of time, but it's going to be quite close.
Yeah, definitely a little bit close for comfort. Now, we do see these Phoenixes coming back in. A muscle turret is going to drive them off before they can deal more than, you know, just 1 SCV's worth of damage. But it looks like Kier is really banking hard on the stim timing. Pretty good with moving his army out just before stim starts, sending the first Marine up the ramp, and also, oh, is it going to be able to catch out the Colossus? Not quite, as the shield battery overcharge was popped. So very good timing on that Colossus. Wow.
Yeah, he was like chrono boosting that out because he knew that if the Colossus was out, that would have been so helpful, because basically Kier's army is just in those Marines, and of course Colossus, even without those thermal lance, at least he does do those extra splash damage to those light units of those Marines. So nice timing there. Zoun will hold for the time being, but you know what? Kier not letting up. He is going to set up for another attack, but this time around going to be a multi-prong attack.
Yeah, I really like this. I mean, we've seen in earlier games, just in this series, in tonight alone, in different series, the power of double-pronged harass. Now, it's up to Zoun to, you know, be able to defend both at once, and it looks like he has the Phoenixes set up with a spare Colossus and some Adepts near the natural, and his main force with the original Colossus in the Oracle are set up to the sort of northwest side of the map. But yeah, it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a lull just for now, as Kier is going to be able to set up his 3rd orbital. That is going to be spotted by the observer as well. So really, it's just up to... Okay, we are going to see that Widow Mine picked off, and finally, Zoun is going to chase away that first little bit of bio, but the second sort of drop... Oh, a little bit undecided, was about to drop in, but saw that Colossus and was like, nope, I don't think I can handle that.
Yeah, there's a lot of army here to defend at the natural. Looks like Zoun will go ahead and move out, assuming that the drop was headed back home, but unfortunately for him, Kier still has his army here onto the left side, but There's still a huge army here at the front of Kira's base. More additional warpins, and oh man, this is a huge Protoss ball.
Yeah, I really like the use of Phoenixes here, right? Because those Vikings are basically rendered useless. Now, at the same time, a pretty big, almost Doom drop, taking down 14 probes like they're nothing. But the third command center has been evacuated and is actually gonna get killed off by the Phoenixes at the same time. Okay, it looks like we're definitely going into a bit of a base race, but we do see this Colossus at home, so it will be able to actually clean up these medevacs worth of Marines, I believe. So, oh man, this is getting really... When did this get so dicey, Snoopy? Did I miss something? Oh my gosh, 31 probes have already gone down. This is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and he might actually take out this Nexus, I think. Oh, okay, he does focus fire on it. Oh, this Colossus gets fired as well. Oh my god.
Okay, this is wild. Oh man. Okay, we do see a safety force field making sure that no bio can walk down and chase. But yeah, already we do see some, I believe... Oh, never mind. I thought that was a random supply depot just sort of out on the map, just to make sure that, you know, you can extend the base race a little bit further. But man, now that... Okay, we have to take stock. How many workers does each player have, and how many bases does each player have? I'd say overall, Zoun is a bit further ahead because he still has 2 Nexuses, even though he's down on workers. On the other hand, we do see Kir struggling to make use of all 33 of his SCVs, putting down 2 command centers at the same time. Now, looks like Zoun is smelling a little bit of blood, is going to shove forward yet again with his main army. I do like this move a lot, you know, because once you've forced your opponent into that base race, you kind of have an idea of like, oh, that's what their army looks like, so maybe I can engage, maybe not. But here we go.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing Kira being able to defend against this, because these Colossus in the backside are going to be able to hold strong as these Vikings drop down to these Phoenixes. Stalker is going to go ahead and try to get on top of the rest of the army, and again, these Stalkers still standing tall. This dirt base is not going to see the day of light.
Wow, GG is called. Zoun takes this game.
Alright, so it looks like Blackburn. I'm actually pretty surprised that these players picked Blackburn, because I feel like this is not the most favorite maps of certain players, or most players. But
yeah, I agree with that, at least in the circles that I frequent. None of us really like this map, so... But it could yield some interesting fights. I mean, look what happened in the last game, and that was with an arguably more standard map, I would say. So I feel like both players are just like, whatever. Let's see what happens here in this game. So
yeah, actually, as you mentioned it, yeah, a lot of crazy things actually happens on this map, I would say. So a lot of interesting things that could be quite exciting to watch.
Now, just making sure, these are slow zones, right? Yeah, okay. Inhibitor zones, they're called. Imagine if these were speed zones. That I feel like this map would be a lot more fun, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, if you had a choice between inhibitor zones and acceleration zones, I think most people would pick the acceleration zones. But in general, I'm not a fan of any zones. I feel like they should just take it out of the game entirely. I mean, Katz has expressed this in the past as well. He's just not a fan of it. Hasn't really kind of been really important in these maps. So yeah, I think I would love to see, like, maybe next season or the next 2 seasons when they kind of rotate the maps. They just kind of, like, you know, eliminate all these zones, whether it's slow or speed up.
Right. That does make sense. I feel like, you know, since, especially at the pro level, reaction times are so key to some of these engagements, and then having these zones, both speeding up and slowing down, it really just messes with that reaction time in one way or another. Now, speaking of which, do you think we will, in fact, get any more map updates? Because I don't know about you, I might be a little bit pessimistic, but I don't know, I feel like we might be stuck with these maps until the end of StarCraft.
Actually, you know, I am pretty optimistic because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Team Liquid partnered up with. I'm trying to remember who they partnered up with. It was a. I can't remember, but they. I think Team Liquid also partnered up with ESL as well to kind of help with the map making. So I think they also recently announced like a competition for map contests, and so I think, you know, we will probably see in the future some better map rotations. Oh, actually, I'm like currently distracted by this talk about maps that I've totally did not see this Widowmine drop, but it looks like didn't really do too much damage. Caught the tail end of that. This Widowmine here, though, at the front is still not activated, and I think he's just waiting for. Is he waiting for Blink to finish?
I think the not the observer.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, that almost looked like, you know, the Widowmine was invisible and then the stalkers were too scared, you know, or something like that. But no, there's no armory. So actually, is that ever a thing, Snoopy, where we do see a quick armory and therefore quick cloaked Widowmines? I feel like that could have potential against Protoss, right?
Oh,
but
yeah.
then again, the observers are a pretty simple thing to just make and then clean up the Widowmine, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah, that actually is certainly a strategy that Terran utilizes, going for the fast armory and going for that quick cloaked Widowmines. And it's quite annoying actually to deal with if the Protoss isn't prepared. We don't see it quite as often, I feel like, but it's quite effective in certain cases for sure.
Alright, now that Blink is done, we do see this first little batch of 4 Stalkers moving out across the map. Don't expect that they're going to get too much done, but we do see Storm already starting up, so hopefully it will be in time for this pretty standard push that we're seeing. Again, we're seeing that stim, combat shield, and +1 infantry attack, you know, just all sort of lining up in time for what looks to be a drop. Now, these 4 Stalkers are actually doing a pretty good job of keeping reinforcements at home. So, well done by Zoun, but it looks like, does he have anything at home to defend against this? I don't think he actually has anything. Just a single Adept and a Stalker and, you know, a Sentry. Oh man, this actually looks kind of dicey, but we do see Shield Battery Overcharge being popped, as well as this High Templar loaded up in that War Prism. Now, question, Snoopy, do High Templar and other units gain energy when they're inside of a War Prism?
Yep, they do. And looks like he does have enough for 2 Storm. Those 2 Storm, not the greatest though. Some nice spread by Kier, and Kier is going to go for the Jugular now. Overcharge on that shield battery has been used earlier, so there is not going to be an overcharge on that shield battery for quite some time. Going to force Zoun to make another shield battery, but I'm not sure if it's going to be up in time. If he tries to stim in right now, and here we go. Immortal gets immediately sniped down. Oh man, these Zealot doesn't have charge, and now all that is left is in these Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, this is looking really, really dicey for Zoun. Now, he does have a single High Templar in that Warp Prism, but it doesn't have enough energy for Storm just yet. Now, all that's left are a handful of Stalkers, and make that 1 Stalker and 1 Immortal with 1 charge lot, just single digits, really. This is not enough. I think that Zoun might just have lost. Now, we do see an okay Storm hitting that Marauder, but you know what we need is just a bunch of charge lots to clean this small Bioforce up. These Stalkers are going to be enough to push it back for the time being. That Immortal a little bit vulnerable in the front. An additional High Templar going to be enough to trigger that Archon Morph, but this is... I don't know about this. Now, I will say that for Zoun, in favor of Zoun, is that he has not needed to use any... he has not needed to pull any probes off the line just yet. But Still, I'm not too sure because this is a pretty low-tech Protoss army that he has. Now, he is successfully forcing back the Terran 4 now, but how do you think that went? Because I'm honestly not too sure.
Well, we gotta take note that that was a 5 ranks opening. Or actually, was it? Oh no, no. Okay, maybe it wasn't. Maybe he added the 4th and 5th afterwards. But at the very least, Kier does have the dirt base. He does have a little bit of a weapons upgrade lead. He does have the 1-1, and only now is the Forge being thrown down by Zoun. So I would give the advantage to Kier, and looks like he is going to go ahead and join up with these Liberators as well. Liberators get sniped down, but there are still these Widow Mines. Storm goes down. Nice dodge. Oh!
That is huge. The Widow Mine actually targeting onto the War Prism and taking down it along with the High Templar in it. Now, I don't know if that... I think that High Templar did have some energy, so that is -1 Storm right there for free. Wow.
Alright, looks like Kier is going to go ahead and possibly break Zoun. I think he does. I think Zoun has massed up enough units to actually hold on here, especially with the 2 shield batteries. And he does have the overcharge this time around. But look at here, Zoun with a nice little charge dot run by does forces the SCVs off the dirt base. Does lose 5, but the real fight here is at the dirt base of Zoun.
That's right. Now we do see shield battery overcharge being popped as well. The charge lot. Excuse me, the Stalkers are taking care of the Liberators and forcing the bio back. The charge lot run by did pick up 5 SCVs, and that's the kind of damage that you want to be able to deal. So really, kudos to Zoun for not only holding on, but squeezing a charge lot run by and a 4th base out of all of this. It's not easy when you're under pressure to sort of find the money to, especially at the pro level, when every single mineral and every single gas counts. It's like, it's so difficult. Any StarCraft player knows this. It's extremely difficult to be able to squeeze out enough so that you can sort of continue playing the game even while you're, being attacked so aggressively.
Yeah, looks like Zoun want to go aggressive himself this time around, as he does have a 4 High Templar. Now there are ghosts out here in the middle. Can he get that crucial EMP? Some nice pre-spread actually by Kier does mitigate some of that storm splash damage. But once again, Zoun setting up for another Zealot counterattack here at the top side.
Yeah, we see the 4th Command Center being queued up in the natural for Kier. At the same time, the 4th Nexus for Zoun has already been started and is up and running with a full mineral line being fully saturated. Now, okay, this is going to be interesting. If we see that Kier keeps on doing those kinds of splits, and we see those ghosts getting pretty decent EMPs. Oh, wow, look at that. I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, they got a full EMP off of those 2 High Templar. Another EMP going off, triggering that storm. So we do see that some of the bio does get hit, but not enough to get any significant kills. And now these ghosts are, banking up energy, and again, the charge lot run by is making pretty good use, but reinforcements are going to take care of it in short order, and those storms are not good enough. The splits are excellent. The disruptors are now out, getting off decent hits and forcing the bio pretty far back, allowing the Stalkers to get in some damage. So finally, this will be yet another decisive hold as Zoun's supply does shoot up just a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Those storms need to be better, and if Kier continues to avoid the splash damage as well as he has been, then he will find himself, sort of edging himself towards a win.
What I do like coming out of Zoun, though, is that he stopped making High Templars. He's starting to add in those disruptors, because he does realize that Kier is pumping out a lot of ghosts, and one of the ways to counter ghosts is either Colossus or disruptors. Disruptors, of course, does more of a one-hit punch. Colossus kind of take a little bit more extra time, but really comes down to those how well you micro those disruptor hits and how well Kier does spread his army.
I honestly really like the way that Zoun is approaching his tech. We can see that he's already starting Thermal Lance, the upgrade for the range, and I believe damage as well, right, for the Colossus. And that's pretty key because he's responding to Cure's theoretical response to his disruptors. And it's just a bit of a mind game, you know. It's kind of like how classic Zerg would play, right? You go heavy into one tech, trick your opponent, and then go heavy into another tech that counters their counter to your tech. And we're kind of seeing this with the Colossi. 2 Colossi are being queued up. So in total, we see how many disruptors? I believe that's 6 on the field right now. Once they have sort of outlived their usefulness, the Colossi already up there and ready to go. Now we do see a pretty decent Widow Mine hit. Now these Colossi, these disruptor hits are being mitigated quite well because of the splits by Cure. So, oh, okay, a complete airball. Oh, these splits are amazing. I just have to say, wow.
Yeah, I mean, we do realize that like maybe like someone like Clem is one of the best at splitting, but Cure can definitely split with his micro. And so far he's doing a really great job now, but looks like Colossus has joined up into the army. So even if in the next engagement, even if Cure has some perfect splits against these disruptors, can't really have the perfect split against Colossus because usually they do at least some, you know, consistent splash damage to the Terran army. So Cure is going to have to mix in maybe some Vikings. Looks like he is actually starting to add in those Vikings as well as Liberators, adding some more Marauders as well to his army composition.
Yeah, now this Bioforce that just does not want to die, it's still roaming around on the map. Now we actually do see the Protoss army being split up. These Stalkers getting a bit caught out of position, but on the other hand, we do see the Splash meeting back up with it in the middle of the map. But yeah, like you said, Colossi are sort of that consistent damage dealer. And as long as you're able to keep them safe from things like Liberators and Vikings, then they're a pretty solid option if you're the Protoss and you need some sort of splash damage.
Alright, looks like Zoun is starting to add in DT tech as well, so we should see DT Blink being researched very shortly. And that's going to be a nightmare because as we head into this like late game scenario, Blink DTs are going to be quite annoying. They can just like snipe down Cure's expansions very quickly and like in the blink of an eye. Very hard for Terran players to respond in time to repair that planetary.
Alright, so we're sort of seeing both players taking their respective sides of the map. So we are definitely headed into the late game for, I believe this is game number 3, right?
Mm-hmm, yep.
Yeah, so for game number 3, we are definitely headed into the late game. Warp Prism speed has been researched. And we also see a pretty heavy Stargate follow-up with the Fleet Beacon on the way as well. We also see a lot of static defense going down as Zoun. Both players really are approaching that maxed out sort of state.
Yeah, however, I do love that Zoun is really teching to the late game. He is very much prepared and willing to go there just based off of him, you know, teching into Stargate and Fleet Beacon and Blink DTs. But anyhow, looks like he is going to try to free up some supply here with a big fight, but with that planetary, with all those Liberators, will back out for the time being.
Wow, I don't know about that push. You know, that was sort of like sacrificing a lot of Stalkers and a lot of Zealots for almost nothing. 8 probes did go down. I believe that was a drop that I just missed.
There was a Liberator at the Liberator at the top left base there. Does get cleaned up, but yeah, it does take 8 probes with him.
Right.
Alright, air weapons being researched for Zoun, so he is going to go ahead and start mixing in some either carriers or Tempests, I would imagine. Tempest can, of course, snipe down those Liberators, but if he does go for carriers, which it looks like he is, it could provide some additional firepower with those interceptors, as all interceptors does get that +1 air weapons upgrade.
Oh, we see a pretty big set of Dark Templar coming in from the north side, taking down 7 SCVs at the cost of quite a few of their brethren. But this prompts Zoun to once again move forward into those liberation zones. And honestly, with that many liberation zones, that's when you start to see your Protoss army just sort of melt, right? Like, Stalkers barely get, one step forward before they're killed and whatnot. And it's just really unfortunate. Oh, some of the Dark Templar are also shaved off, and we have to remember that Dark Templar are not cheap. I believe they're 125, 125, right? So definitely not cheap, and you do not want to let them go for free.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since Zoun doesn't have a bank right now. He doesn't have any a lot of gas to waste or a lot of minerals to just throw around. So he's got to be careful not to just throw away Dark Templars just so casually.
I believe our Red Terran is... Oh, is that me?
I think you're good.
Oh, okay, we're good.
Uh-huh.
I thought we had a bit of a pause. Anyways, so, yeah, I think the Terran, what we're seeing is just sort of, sitting back right below 180 supply and just sort of responding to what the Protoss is doing. Because depending on what the Protoss is doing, you might want a different army composition, right? So I honestly really like that move by Pure to just sort of sit back and realize, hey, I'm only on 180 supply, but I am successfully defending against this. So there's no reason to really panic, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, he is kind of playing very, very turtly for sure. However, with these DTs, he's got to be careful because these DTs are just sniping his bases. Or at least the one right at the triangular base. Looks like he is going to go ahead and try to beat up the defense there, leaving a bunch of liberators and turrets up. But yeah, they're basically playing very turtly, and looks like Zoun is going to be the first one to take out that center top side base. And so the only remaining base left is going to be the one at the south side, 6 o'clock one. And we'll see which player does get control of that base.
Yeah, this is... Man, I'm sure many of my Protoss and Zerg brethren can understand the pain of dealing with a turtle Terran, but at the same time, I'm sure a lot of Terrans can understand the benefits of playing such a siege-heavy, defense-heavy style. It just appears as though Zoun's Stalker Colossus Disruptor army is in a way outdated, if you will, right? You're not really able to deal with such a large Sky Terran army, so many Vikings and so many Liberators. But now I think Cure knows about the carriers getting off a full scout with the scan in the middle of the map, and I don't know. Is Zoun going to make yet another move? It's hard to say here.
Yeah, well, the good thing is that he is taking out all these bases so that it becomes a game of nutrition. If he can mine up the entire base, then even if he does take some inefficient fights, he has the resources to replenish his army for this big secondary fight follow up. Now, the thing I do want to see him do is maybe he wants to go ahead and try to start sacking some of these ground army, because these ground army is not going to really do too much to help him during those later fights. Maybe, because, Zealots not going to do too much. Blink Stalkers, yeah, they can be pretty helpful against the anti-air, for the anti-air against the Liberators and Vikings, but I'm sure he probably wants to mix in maybe some additional air tech, or maybe some high Templars even to storm the Viking army there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, I just had a random thought. What if those disruptors could also hit air? Then I think that disruptors would make this fight a lot easier. Look. Because we just saw the ground army just sort of, shuffle on away, get out of the zone, and then all of those Liberators and Vikings started occupying that same space. And I just thought, oh man, look at that clumping, right? That would have been amazing. But I agree with you, and apparently Zoun does too, as he does warp in a couple of other High Templar, imagine one good storm or a couple of good storms on the air, on the Sky Terran for here. I think that would actually potentially end the game in one shot.
Yeah, potentially. And you know what also could end the game in potentially one shot? Well, nukes. And and
oh yeah,
I think does he have any nukes on the way? He does have one nuke in store right now. Okay, there we go. One nuke goes down. Not the most important thing to nuke on, but I guess might as well.
Oh nope, that disruptor just barely not within range of that ghost. Now, I think. Oh wow, air weapons level 3 already. When did that happen? Anyways, I feel like the whatchamacallit. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. Something about the EMPs. But anyways, okay, these stalkers are taking a lot of damage. Baiting out some EMPs. I think the purpose right now is to just sort of make sure that the supply for the Protoss goes more towards Skytoss, because you know you want to be able to trade out some of your tier 1 units.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like this decision here for him to warp in additional stalkers, just for the fact that you just mentioned. They're basically tier 1 or so units, and they just don't scale as well. And what really Zoun needs to do right now is just Neeb it up. And what I mean by that is he needs to play like Neeb, where he just throw down a bunch of shield batteries and cannons out in the middle of the map and just do the slow push. Very reminiscent of the Terran slow push with their mech army. And right now, he just needs to throw down a bunch of them. Now, it does make it harder with these nukes going out, but if he can kind of snipe these ghosts that throwing down the nukes, then she should be fine. But yeah, he should definitely stop at the very least, warping in these stalkers and just mixing in maybe Tempest or maybe more carriers or something.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like in the moment, maybe Zoun was just sort of panicking and like, oh look, I just lost a lot of supply and I need to make it up ASAP. But I think that eventually Zoun is going to have the right idea, as we do see that he is producing 4 Tempests at a time, trading out those, I think those were DTs. Now, at the same time, we do see 6, 7. Wow, where are the probes going down? Were they being sacrificed? Were they being nuked? I'm not too sure. But anyways, we do see a huge engagement. Look at those storms. All of those Vikings just evacuating the hell on out of there. I mean, they are just not safe anymore. All of the ground for the Terran has been taken out, and look at all of those Vikings. I don't know how many that is, but not a single one is left at full health. All of them are pretty much crippled in that sense.
Yeah, there's 25 Vikings here out in the field, and a lot of them, almost all of them, if not all of them, are in yellow, orange, red life. So I mean, he should probably just like retreat back and just like repair right now. He can use the turrets to kind of buy him some time, but gotta be careful with these Vikings.
Oh, a couple of really good storms taking down a good chunk of those Vikings, and also making sure that a lot of them are just literally one shot away. Now, I want to note that those disruptors are still, this late into the game, still finding value, being able to take down some of those key units, those ghosts on the... oh, some more... no, not like this cure. Look at that. The Viking count is basically not... okay, that's it. There are no more Vikings out on the field fighting for our red Terran player, and it looks like Zoun has just been able to, you know, just sort of push on through. These Liberators are going to siege on up, but at this rate, these Tempests and that single carrier have free reign. Now, there is a scenario where the warping of Stalkers... now, okay, this moment is getting quite careless, right? This is what I'm talking about, where there are so many Liberators that it just doesn't really matter. But look at the bank for Zoun, and here is where we see the economic payoff of taking so many bases.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kier just took down the 6 o'clock, but it's a little bit too late. I mean, he does not have any bank to speak of, and he's trying to produce more Vikings to help with these Tempest and carriers. But boy, Zoun can pretty... oh, actually, you know what? As I say that, Zoun has pretty much used up all his resources to make those additional carriers. Yeah, he's gonna have to probably rely on these carriers to end the game, but maybe you can just rely on these stalkers. These stalkers not doing too shabby. They do have 3/3 upgrades, so they're pretty. They do pack a punch. And now looks like Zoun is going to hunt down for those mining bases of Kier. Kier is kind of pretty much have absolutely no answer for this.
Yeah, I mean, unless somehow 105, 113 supply can beat 182, then we can talk about a win condition for Cure. But for now, this is just not looking great. I mean, Zoun, just barely not losing that carrier. Oh, okay, finally it goes down. But GG is called. Zoun finally takes this game.
He's our blue Terran player from Dragon Phoenix Gaming, looking to tie up the series. Can he do it? It is Cure.
And his opponent spawning here in the top right corner of the map, playing for the very, very friendly team of Alpha X as the Red Protoss player. It is Zoun.
Alright, being that this is on Oxide, of course there is that kind of little ledge cliff area. Zoun's going to go ahead and immediately try to wall that off. Of course, this is one of the ones that needs 3 buildings to completely wall this off, so a little bit of an inconvenience, but very, very doable.
So I feel like in that case, usually the buildings would be a gateway, 2 gateways and a cyber, or a gateway, a cyber, and a Stargate, I'm assuming, or some sort of tech building. Is that usually like the typical sort of wall off?
Yeah, I mean, usually it's 1 gateway, 1 cybernetic core, and probably one of the tech buildings, either Stargate or Twilight Council. I mean, assuming, of course, the Terran goes for a Reaper, and it looks like Cure is going to elect to go for that Reaper for, okay, again, this specific reason is because it's a little bit more difficult to wall off on this map.
Looks like we do have ourselves some pretty standard openings now. Oh, I think. Oh no, never mind. Okay, I was just overthinking, and I thought that the warp gate did not start yet, so I was like, "Ooh, we're gonna see another Stargate opener," but that's not gonna be the case. Now, I think that Zoun is being overly cautious, sending this probe out into many, many different corners of the map, making sure that there are no shenanigans from the blue Terran player. This Adept is going to force out a Shade, and it actually does bait out the completion of the Shade. Not quite able to get it, but we will see a Twilight Council coming out for our Red Protoss.
Oh wait, actually, I might have thought of the other map. Okay, I think this is a full wall off. Okay, so yeah, basically just need the 2 buildings, and then you can hide the Twilight at the backside of the pylon, which means that the Reaper can't scout that Twilight because it's a little bit out of his range vision zone.
Oh, I see. Well.
Oh, he was trying to do that trick there. Use the grenade to kind of push himself, over and into the main base. Nice little trick there, but doesn't quite get that executed.
Looks like we have on our hands a pretty standard opener from both players. We do see the Marines as well as the Widow Mines, indicating a drop coming out for Cure, and then for his opponent on the other hand, Zoun is going to be starting off with that Blink Tech as his opener of choice.
Alright, so once again, going for that kind of 2-gate opening. Now, this time around, he is going for a robotics facility. I think before, yeah, he went for the robotics facility before the third Nexus. So a little bit less greedy. But I think he just wants that quicker observer to see and scout what Cure is going to go for. And probably go for the robotics bay as well.
Okay, we do see a pretty timely probe pool. Those Widow Mines are not going to be... Oh, actually getting a hit off on a Stalker. Okay, nice blink, making sure that the second Widow Mine doesn't hit anything. Now, I believe the one Widow Mine in the natural was taken care of thanks to the observer. Well, see, oh man, I'm already out here thinking that those Widow Mines have cloak, but they don't actually, and the observer does not really have a use there, but it's fine either way, so...
Yeah, well, at the very least, the observer does provide vision of that Widow Mine, so he could give a few seconds or so response time for Zoun to make sure gets the probe pool. But yeah,
Right.
so far nicely defended by Zoun. Doesn't suffer any critical probe losses, and we'll go ahead and proceed on forward. And this time around, it's going to be Zoun that's going to have the kind of the map control for the time being until Kier can get that stim upgraded, and then he can start moving out. But until then, Zoun gonna go ahead and park his stalkers out here and try to just pick out any units he can with these stalkers.
Now, it's just me, or is the combat shield a little bit mistimed? I feel like combat shield might be a little bit late, but also combat shield, I think it's quicker than stim, so it's not going to matter too much. Ooh, a very aggressive blink on top, catching all of these Marines out of position, and... Oh, what? Oh, a little bit of... Wow, that was a little bit greedy, going for the Marauder and also the Siege Tank. I like that move in theory, but it didn't really pan out too well because some of the Stalkers had already gone down. So the DPS was pretty much, in essence, halved. Now, on the other hand, what are the benefits of that? You do take down an extra Marauder and a tank, and in the end, you still have a Colossus out on time, so I guess it's okay, but just a funny little interaction, a funny little move that Zoun was trying to go for.
Yeah, and at the very least, he does pull the army back, so it kind of delays the attack. But I think it looks like, either way, Kier was still gonna wait a little bit longer for that concussive shells to finish before actually attacking. Now it looks like instead of going for the third, he is gonna go for the main base instead. Now if he can kind of siege up at the cliff area, he can take out that cybernetic core and that gateway for pretty much free, because Zoun won't be able to really do too much to stop it. I mean, right now he does have a Colossus and some Stalkers, but he needs to wait for that additional warp in. He needs to wait for the Thermal Lance to finish as well.
Okay, and Thermal Lance is actually done, so that Cyber Core will go down, but not without the first Colossus taking a lot of Marines, I believe, down with it. Now that first gateway is also down, but at this point, the Terran army has done all that it can in this position, and it's going to move on to the next. I do like this sort of split that we do see, one Colossus on either side. Now, funnily enough, we see an Observer coming out. I think that's just to be able to spot the rest of the army. That front gateway is going to go down as well, so Zoun's capacity to start making army is quite limited, I would say. How many gateways are out on the field? We do still see 6 gateways, so this is more than enough, I believe, for the time being. Finally, a third Colossus is being queued up, but we're in a bit of a holding pattern. Neither player really being able to make a move without taking considerable losses.
Yeah, they kind of really want to make sure they engage correctly. This is a huge, important fight.
Wow.
And this Colossus is just standing so long here, and it does survive.
Yeah, I don't think that was the move that Kier wanted. Getting cut off by all those force fields, and then trying to stick it out by going for that Colossus and not being able to get it. Now, keep in mind, that Colossus is getting very, very low on health, and now Zoun is deciding to pull the trigger now that he has the third Colossus. Going down, leading with the charge slots, and then with the Stalkers, and this is an excellent, excellent hold. This is... Wow, game is called. Zoun takes this game and therefore this series.